I want to tell you something my grandmother used to say. She said the truth doesn't announce itself. It taps quietly at strange hours wearing a coat you don't recognize. I didn't understand that until the night my neighbor stood on my porch in her slippers, arms crossed against the cold, and said the sentence that ended one version of my life and began another. It was 12:14 in the morning. I remember the time because I was still awake, folding laundry, telling myself the smell of someone else's perfume on my husband's collar 3 weeks earlier had a simple explanation. I had already decided to believe him. That is the quiet tragedy of loving someone. You become a lawyer for their innocence before you become a witness to their guilt. Her name was Denise. We weren't close, but we were the kind of neighbors who wave, who accept each other's packages, who nod at school pickup. That night she wasn't smiling. She said, "I wasn't going to say anything, but this is the 3rd time this month." I remember asking her very calmly what she meant. She said, "Your husband's car. The gray Accord. It's parked outside my sister's house again. Past midnight. Same as last Tuesday. Same as the Tuesday before that." I want you to understand I did not scream. I did not cry in front of her. I thanked her. I told her I would look into it. And I closed the door gently, the way you close a door when you are trying not to wake a house that is about to fall down around you. But looking back, the signs had been there for months, small and easy to explain away. Like pebbles you don't notice until you realize you've been walking on a landslide. There was the phone that started facing screen down on the nightstand. There was the new gym membership, though he never came home smelling like a gym. There was the night he said, "I'm just tired, that's all. Work is a lot right now," when I asked why he flinched every time his phone buzzed. And there was the credit card statement I glimpsed once, a charge from a hardware store 2 towns over, on a day he told me he'd been at the office. Each one alone meant nothing. Together they meant everything. I just hadn't let myself add them up yet. That night, after Denise left, I didn't wake him. I didn't confront him. I made tea instead, sat at the kitchen table, and did something I am to this day proud of. I decided to be quiet instead of loud. I decided to gather instead of accuse. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a version of myself I didn't know existed, patient, methodical, unshaken. I noted the nights his late meetings lined up with Denise's account of the car. I quietly checked our shared calendar against the mileage on his car. A habit he didn't know I'd developed since the day the numbers first stopped matching his stories. I looked once through an old email account we'd shared years ago for a joint bill, and found a forwarded message he must have forgotten was linked. A message from a name I didn't recognize. A financial consultant. I sat with that for a long time. Because here is the thing about betrayal. You brace yourself for one kind of pain, and life, with its cruel sense of irony, hands you another. I finally drove past the sister's house myself one evening without telling anyone. His car was there. Just like Denise said. I didn't get out. I didn't knock. I sat in my own car across the street and watched the light in the window, and I felt something in me go very still and very cold, the way water goes right before it freezes. 2 days later I asked him directly. I said, "I know about the nights at Denise's sister's house. I want the truth. All of it." He went pale. He said, "It's not what you think." I have heard that sentence in every story like mine. I almost laughed. But I said nothing and let the silence do the work silence always does. It makes people fill it with confession. And he did. He told me the affair had ended months ago. That the woman, Denise's sister, a woman named Colleen, had broken things off herself. But he kept going back. Not for romance. For money. Colleen worked in finance. My husband, it turned out, had taken out a second loan against our house 8 months earlier, forged with my signature on documents I had never seen, to cover gambling debts he'd hidden since before we were married. Colleen wasn't restarting an affair. She was helping him restructure the debt quietly, meeting at her house instead of a bank so there would be no paper trail I could ever stumble across. The affair, I feared, was real once, briefly, but what continued after wasn't love. It was concealment. It was 2 people managing a financial collapse behind my back while I stood in my kitchen believing the worst thing in my marriage was a woman's perfume. I remember saying very quietly, "So the affair was the smallest part of this." He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The house I had spent a decade paying into, decorating, raising our children in, It had a second mortgage I never agreed to. My name had been signed by a hand that wasn't mine, on paper I never held. That is not heartbreak. That is a crime. I want to tell you I fell apart. I didn't. I called a lawyer the next morning, not a marriage counselor. I requested copies of every document with my name on it. I opened accounts he didn't know existed and moved what I could legally move. I did not raise my voice once through any of it, not because I wasn't furious, but because fury, I learned, is far more powerful when it's silent and organized. The divorce is finalized now. The forged loan is under investigation, and my name is being cleared from documents I never signed. Colleen no longer speaks to her sister, who still to this day insists she only ever meant to warn me, not to unravel an entire fraud. Sometimes I think about that first knock at midnight. How small it seemed. A car. A house. A rumor between neighbors. I thought I was about to hear the worst sentence of my life. I didn't know yet that the worst sentence wasn't the one about the car at all. It was the one buried underneath it, the one that took 2 more weeks of quiet, careful looking to find. If there's anything I'd want you to take from this, it's this. When something feels small and strange and easy to explain away, don't rush to explain it. Sit with it. Look closer. Sometimes the affair is not the story. Sometimes the affair is only the door someone left open by accident, and behind it is the real thing they were hiding all along.